Shh, get over here, because I got a story to tell you guys. So if y'all been following my timeline and paying attention to some of the stuff that I've been posting, as the case of like this ambitious duo right here, when I post things like this, of course, it always gets all kinds of reactions from all across the board, depending upon what side of the fence you're on. And something I do tend to notice is that a lot of people are always asking me, like, how come you're not triggered by that stuff? And I am, but let me rewind that. I've just got a better way of showing it. I don't allow just crazy people to trigger me, if that makes sense. I don't allow them to get me stirred up emotionally, because I do realize that whatever moves you emotionally oftentimes can control you, and I don't want that to be my trial, like constantly being surrounded by stupid people. But I wanted to give you guys a flashback story to when I was learning how all these integral parts move. But back in high school, we had a young man, I'm gonna call him Jimbo, right, just for the sake of his character. But Jimbo was a guy, he was, very athletic. Jimbo was a smooth guy, got along with everybody. White brother, had black friends, liked black music, ate black food, he liked black women a little bit too. Nobody had a problem with Jimbo because he was just an all-around good guy. But there was this particular guy named Earl who hated Jimbo because Jimbo was now getting away from this southern thinking that said red birds hung with red birds and blue birds with blue birds, right? So one day in the cafeteria, I'm sitting back, I'll take a swig, watching the situation unfold because, after we eat, we're, kind of told to put our trays up and then you exit out the cafeteria by classes. And I notice Earl is inching towards Jim Bob, and he's dropping these little words like, man, how did you start hanging with other races? And I mean, it's some crazy stuff, and it's so disrespectful because he's saying it in the cafeteria full of black people. And this conversation starts escalating, and what was just words now becomes a bumping match. And before you know it, Jim Bob feels threatened, and he goes upside Earl's head with his tray. Wow! We're all sitting there like, whoa! What just happened? But anyway, the guys are suspended, and long story short, they go home for 3 days. Everybody talks about the fight for several days. But the part that tripped me out the most was when they both came back to school, Jimbo started hanging more with Earl and his people. Moral of the story I learned in that moment is sometimes some people stand up for good causes but don't have the strength to follow it through. If you're going to make a stand to being a good person, don't let the bad people win, because it felt like Earl won because he ultimately got what he wanted.